and welcome to Engage. Thank you for joining our session today. So first, we have the legal slide. So this presentation may contain forward-looking statements, and any trademarks are not endorsements. My name is Sonia, and I'm a customer success manager here at Smartsheet. My role is to help my clients leverage Smartsheet to achieve their business goals, and I ensure that they have the right resource, guidance, and support that they need to make their work more efficient and scalable. Today, we're looking forward to a fantastic session with Dan Montalbano, Head of Operations at VCCP, a global, fully integrated ad agency. I've had the privilege of working with Dan for many years, and then this year, Dan and the Smartsheet team have developed a scalable solution to manage and report on their projects internally and for their clients. I particularly like VCCP stories because nowadays, a lot of agencies are facing increased pressure to deliver more with less from their clients. And they want to be kept informed, know when their projects are being delivered, if they're on time and on budget, at any given time at a click of a button. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce Dan, who will be sharing his story with you today.
Hi there, and thanks for the introduction, Sonia, and thank you for the opportunity to speak at such an exciting event. As Sonia mentioned, my name is Dan Montalbano. I'm head of operations at VCCP, which is a fully integrated creative agency headquartered in London. My background is very much in large projects and program management at scale, both agency and client side. But I've had a few different roles within VCCP, and most recently I set up and look after how we operate internationally for one of our largest global clients, looking after a program of approximately 150 projects at any given moment. Today, I'm going to give you a quick introduction to us as an agency so you understand what we do and how Smartsheet fits into our solution. I'll talk you through how we've implemented Smartsheet and scaled it with Control Center to improve, I guess, the efficiency and transparency internally, but also for our clients in these unprecedented times. And hopefully I'll be able to show that we've been working quite hard to get smarter for our clients using Smartsheet in this post-COVID world. We'll also cover off some implementations and learnings from the process and cover off any questions at the end. So a quick introduction to us as an agency. We are VCCP, the challenger agency for challenger brands. And our entire reason for existence is to challenge and disrupt the categories that our clients operate in. We strongly believe that it only works if it all works. So we're a full service agency. We do fully integrated communication, TV, radio, PR, digital, social, retail, distribution, and all of it backed by solid insight and interrogation of the customer experience. We were born in 2002, set up by 4 guys, a V, a C, and a P, 2 of whom are still around and regularly walk the floors of the agency today. We are now we've grown substantially. We're now one of the largest independent agencies in the world and have a presence internationally across 8 different offices. There are over 1,000 of us now. We also have the good fortune now of working with some of the largest brands in the world, the likes of Canon, Cadbury's, Domino's, Shell, EasyJet, among dozens of others. And just to give you a quick sample of what we do, this is a fully integrated campaign that we developed on the behalf of Canon a year or so back. We worked with them on the proposition to develop the strategy, to develop the line, and then launched that campaign across all channels, from TV to retail to outdoor, press, CRM, social, and digital. We use Zoe Kravitz as our influencer in this case. And it's been through campaigns like this that we've been able to make a real difference to our clients' bottom lines, right? We're always actively looking to find opportunities to generate value for our clients through their brand and marketing activity, but also in how we work with them. And we've had great success in that sense. And that's really a key component to why I'm talking to you today about the journey we've been on with Smartsheet, because it really fits well into that hunt for value for our clients. So a bit of context. I think you've probably heard the term "the new normal" a million times by now, and it's been a tough few years. I think I'd argue that the last few years have all been contending for the worst year ever, at least in recent history. And then 2020 came along, and I think it probably set up a whole new bar for disastrous. And frankly, we are living in unprecedented times. I mean, so much so that we're actually witnessing unprecedented use of the word unprecedented if you look at the Google search terms. And it's been a very tough year for marketers. If you look at global ad spend, it's down by about 50 billion. I think digital ad spend has declined for the first time ever. UK ad market has shrunk by 9%. The US media spending was down by about 20% in the first half of 2020. Because really in a downturn, one of the first parts of a business to feel the pinch is marketing. And obviously that puts a ton of pressure on both our clients and us as an agency. So we've been having to have some really difficult conversations over the last 6 months. And there's been a consistent theme emerging. Right? Show us the hard dollar value or euro or pound value of all the supposedly brilliant work that you're doing for us. We need you to be more efficient and transparent so we can clearly see where our marketing investment is going. Or just the hard, you're just going to have to do more with less, I'm afraid. And so now more than ever, I think it's vital that we have what I call an at any given moment tool. Because really, as an agency, at any given moment, we need to have things at our fingertips, like what's going on with that radio ad in the Philippines, and why do you have so many people and so many hours on this project? Or give me a quick and clean view of my account, the projects that you're running, and anything that might be a risk. Or how many briefs do I have in the system because something urgent has come up and I need to prioritize. Enter Smartsheet, right? This is where Smartsheet has really come into its own for us within the business. And I'm going to talk you through briefly the sort of context for how it's grown up within the agency over the last 4 years and how we've recently transformed it to be more efficient for us. So I'll tell you a little bit about the agency as well beforehand, so you understand the cast of characters who work on our accounts at VCCP. At the heart of all our account teams are these 4 roles. We've got our planners, our strategists, who are sort of huge brains who come up with a strategy and the big thinking for our clients to help them set the direction and a course. We've got edgy creatives who come up with groundbreaking ideas that are going to populate culture when we put them into the world. We've got our account men and women who manage briefs through from start to finish and make sure that our clients are happy with how and what we're delivering. And we've got our producers who are responsible for taking those ideas and turning them into real things that go out into the world. And this is the core 4 who really operate on all of our accounts. And I think because we grew so quickly, it was all a bit by hook or by crook initially. Just getting things done when you're a small agency works really, but as you get bigger and as you start to scale and as you become international, you hit a certain size. If you don't ever stop to think about the how of how you work, as opposed to just getting on with it, you're never really going to find a better way. So that's what this was about. And at first, I felt like the guy on the left. I introduced Smartsheet, and when you're running at 100 miles an hour, often it's difficult to convince people to pick up a new tool and work in a slightly different way. But I said we're the challenger agency. We challenge our clients. We also challenge each other, and we're encouraged to do so. It's in our culture. And so I was convinced there was a better way, and kept hammering at it. And I think after a while, it started to get a fair bit of traction. And people came around, really. As it started to get traction, I think the first thing that got traction for us was to use it as a timing plans tool, a tool for our timing plans. We do a ton of production as an agency. We've got hundreds of projects at any given moment, and it was immediately clear that this was a better and faster way to manage day-to-day timings, as opposed to the sort of the traditional dragging around little colored boxes around an Excel or a Google Sheet. And so people started to use use Smartsheet as a tool for timing plans, but then it got a little bit out of hand. And it became clear that we as an agency needed to get organized. I love this GIF, I'm sorry, I had to put it in. So we realized we needed to get organized because so many people were using it, and it had grown as a tool. Things like setting up a central suite of licenses, deciding who we would allocate those licenses to and controlling how it was used, setting up best practice clinics to ensure that people know how to use it and are using it the right way. And over time, what happened is it evolved as a tool for us. It evolved to do more as adoption spread. It stopped just being a tool for day-to-day project management, project planning, and mapping of tasks and dependencies. We realized that we could actually start to use it as a tool to manage a program. I've got multiple projects, and I need to know what's going on across those projects, and I need to be able to dive in or dive out of that. And then we realized we could actually use it to do more than that. We could use it to give us a snapshot at any given moment of what was going on an account. So a dashboard that would look at the program and say, right, you have 180 projects in the system right now. They are in various states of creative or strategic or production and development. This is where the work is happening. This is what's at risk. And so we started to use it on a number of accounts, a couple of accounts at these three levels. And we realized that on these certain accounts, we'd established what best in class looked like as an agency. We were getting a reduction in admin. There was more transparency. It was easier to get the information we needed. More people knew what was going on at any given moment. And we realized as a business that we wanted to take this best in class and really roll it out across all of our accounts, the entire agency. But doing it one at a time was too slow, frankly. The way we had been setting these up was from the ground up. Every single time we would build the 3 layers and cater to what the account needed specifically, and it was just taking a very long time. And frankly, we were ending up with many different best-in-class solutions, but not one integrated approach that would make us faster as an agency. And when COVID came along, really, with the added pressure that our clients were feeling from COVID and the conversations we were having, we realized we needed to accelerate. We needed to scale much more quickly. So we had a few conversations with Smartsheet, and it turned out that they had a product. They had something called Control Center that we could use to allow us to take this best-in-class solution that we got to and scale it across all of our accounts. So I'm gonna take you through a little bit of how that worked, the thinking that we did along the way, and the journey we've been on to roll out Control Center and to scale it, and hopefully you'll see under the hood a little bit in terms of how Smartsheet works for us as an agency. So Control Center basically allowed us to take this best-in-class toolkit and build it in such a way that our accounts could adopt it at the touch of a button. And before we introduced it, we did ask ourselves the hard questions, right? The why. It takes time, it takes money to invest in change like this internally. You need to have a good use case for it, a good business case for it, really. And so when we asked ourselves these questions, I think the answers came back very, very clearly that it made sense, right? In the first place, we want to avoid dark spots for our clients. It drives, having a tool like this on our accounts drives transparency, it drives accountability. Having one single version of the truth for our accounts means faster decision making. So we're making better decisions more quickly. Having a consistent way of working across our accounts becomes immensely powerful, because as and when people move from account to account and agency to partnership to partnership, they understand how it works from the ground up. They're not starting from scratch. They understand that they've got these tools in place that they can fall back to. Reducing admin at scale. I mean, if we as our account men and women and producers are spending on average 15% of our time on admin, on hunting things down or updating documents, this will was allowing us to reduce that admin and reduce it at scale. I mean, if you think you reduce from 15% of your time to 5% of your time across several hundred people, you're saving thousands and thousands of hours in a year that can be repurposed towards what we all get out of bed for, which is making great work and putting it out into the world. And then lastly, faster onboarding of clients, being able to win a new client, a new piece of work, and turn it on at the click of a button and be ready to go within a few hours was invaluable to us. So what did we look to standardize? We did a couple of things in terms of how we standardized. We looked at how we take in briefs, right? We set up and this is really important and fundamental to the whole solution, really. One front door, right? We as an agency are going to be committing time and resource to something, so let's formalize how we take in a project and decide to work on it. And let's formalize when that project's in, at an account level, what we track. The name, the start, the end, the stage, who's leading it, the market it's in. We standardized who gets notified. So immediately when a brief comes in the system, the right people get a heads up so that we can triage and jump on it. Simple things like an account holiday tracker, which all mature accounts had, but we reinvented each time. Your project trackers, your day-to-day project plans, your status and workflow, your timing plans, and your overarching dashboard. Those are all the things that we looked to standardize. And we didn't just make it up, right? We did the due diligence up front to understand what we, as an agency, were already doing. So every account had a version of a detailed project status. Every account had versions of a timing plan. Every account, again, had a way of tracking multiple projects at any given moment. And every account had invented a holiday tracker. But the thing is that every account had invented these things in a vacuum. It's like we created 17 different wheelbases. So I guess the good news when having these conversations was we're not asking you to do any more work or anything new. You're already doing this. All we're asking you to do is do it in a slightly different place, in a slightly different format. Because the way things were working and the way things were set up, we couldn't actually make use of any of the data, right? We're tracking all this information on a day-to-day basis across our accounts, but because that data is not in a consistent format, we couldn't make it work. So having people work in a consistent manner would give us the information that would roll up to a view that would give us a picture of what's happening on an account, but also what's happening within the agency. So this is the toolkit that we built. I won't go into too much detail on these, but effectively we set up a project tracker sheet, a couple templates there that people could immediately use when tracking projects. We set up a slightly more structured account program view, again, that would be able to reflect multiple projects. We built dashboards that were out of the box so that when an account was working and making sure that the account program status is up to date, it would reflect the reality of what's happening. A team holiday tracker, the front door, and then some simple automated reports that would make sense of the relatively complicated statuses. So if we needed to take smaller pictures or snapshots of what was happening, we could generate those reports quite quickly. This is a sample project tracker template that we use. I won't, hopefully most of you will know what it entails to track a project. So I won't really dive into this, but you can see that it's got some fundamental things like the work stream, the red, amber, and green, what we're making, what the next steps are, stage, client lead, etc. There are 1,000,001 ways to run a project, so we didn't want to be too restrictive here, and within the toolkit, there's plenty of freedom for people to take this and customize it. One level up in that program level, it was a bit more structured. So this is one live integrated dashboard that you can look at in multiple ways, right? If you're a bit more traditional, you look at it as a list, as you would have it in Excel or Google Sheets. If you're a bit more agile, as some of the accounts have become, you look at it as a Kanban board, moving things from left to right, and scrumming as a team to remove blockers. Or if you're a hardcore project manager and you want to see what's going out next, you can look at it as a Gantt. You can go, right, this project is coming out in the next week. It's amber or red. We need to jump on it and make sure that we are prioritizing it and solving those problems. The front door, as I mentioned, is fundamental to how this all works. So It doesn't matter where the brief comes in through our business, whether it's the social specialists or the retail specialists or the digital specialists. If it's on an account, it has to come through that central front door, because all that triggers all the right behaviors, right? So it comes in, an email goes out to the right people. The core leads on the team can triage that project and decide where it goes and how we tackle it, and then kick it off. It also automatically adds it to the status sheet, so there's reduced admin there. Actually, we found a way to link it to the resource tracker as well. So to find a way to flick over any briefs that have come in and make sure that they are on the resource tracker that our resource team is using to resource the partnership. So, and this is not an all singing, all dancing resource solution. That there are more elegant ways to have done this, but this works given the sort of federalized model that we set up for our accounts. Having an at any given moment view, if you're going to take that approach, it's really important to make sure that your data is up to date, right? And the only way to really make sure that data stays up to date is to make it easy for people to do that. So we built in the Toolkit clever solutions like automated reminders that will look at the list of 60 projects and send John Smith the 5 projects that he's managing explicitly to his email address, saying, these are your 5 projects, please update them. And it happens it's fully automated, and it means that they don't actually have to hunt around for their projects. They get it into their inbox. They click a link, and it doesn't even take them to the sheet. They have an overlay in their email that they can very quickly fill in and update their status, which then updates the master sheet. So when you do this at scale, it becomes really powerful, and you've got lots of people working on an account. This really became the jewel in the 3 tiers that we set up, right? This is the account portfolio view. So every account out of the box gets a live portfolio view that shows them what is happening on the business if they're managing that day-to-day status properly. On the left-hand side, you have obviously your team, so you can quickly see who the leads are on the team, the structure, etc. But also a repository for any and all vital documents. As an account grows, and as we get to know our clients, we realize that there are specific documents and ways of working that we need to be owning and tracking and ensuring that any new people on the account are across. So that becomes your sort of central repository there, your SharePoint, so to speak. And on the right-hand side, we built an automated dashboard that basically looks at that program and calls out vital information that we need to know, right? Or that our clients need to know. So top left, we'll see there's a widget that pulls in any upcoming holiday in the next 4 weeks. You can see the number of live briefs. You can see the number of completed briefs or anything that's been canceled. Reds, ambers, and greens show up. So as the status changes, you can see how many are at risk. In scope or out of scope, we track that. The briefs by stage, where they are in the creative process, whether we're thinking about them, whether we're in creative, whether in production, you can see if there are bottlenecks coming. Briefs by size. Also, whether briefs are going out in the next 4 weeks. So we've got a project that's going live. We want to know about it. We want to keep an eye on it, especially when you're working at scale. Or briefs that are coming in. If we're expecting something from the client, we need to give them a nudge and say, please get us that brief. We can see that as well. Centered there, you'll see that there's a widget for tracking what we actually make as an agency. So this is really interesting to go, right, we are making for this client 16 radio ads and 24 TV ads and 50 out-of-home posters. And having that snapshot becomes really powerful, certainly when you scale it across the agency. Or briefs by channel. So again, an idea, you get a quick flavor for what the account is about. You can see, right, it's a heavily creative and digital account, or no, this one is more social and PR. And then across the bottom there, you've got recent new briefs, so it automatically pulls in any briefs that have been put through the front door in the last 4 weeks, and automatically shows you briefs that have gone out in the last 4 weeks. So we put this into practice, and we won a pitch a couple months ago and decided to roll it out, and we're shocked. I mean, we've been building it in theory and designing it, and we're shocked to find out that it actually took us 2 hours to go from pitch win to basically having an account fully set up. And they ended up with a dashboard like this that effectively shows what's going on their team immediately, really quickly. And we did this at scale. So we did this, on the journey we've been on, we did this across 15 or more clients, really. And we've ended up with a number of dashboards that really give a flavor for what's happening on every account. And we built these both internally as operational dashboards that have information that we use, so things like the team and the documents. But we've also built, as part of the toolkit, external toolkits that our clients can use to get a monthly update to see what's going in and what's coming out, and what we are managing for them. The ambition really is we're building to an agency dashboard, right? Because we've been consistent with the data and how we've actually tracked the information at an account level, we can use that information to roll it up to an agency view that says, right, at an agency level, we have 300 briefs in the system, and 100 of them are in creative development, and moving into production, we need to gear up from a production point of view. So the idea is that the data that we're tracking day to day suddenly becomes immensely powerful and gives us some levers that we can pull at a management level. So how do we go about implementing this and rolling it out? I'll talk you through at a top line what we did and how we did it. We kicked the project off in February while COVID was looming, and then things, I think, lockdowns happened in March, and we actually had to design and build a solution remotely from home, which is not a bad test bed for launching a solution that's designed to make you more efficient digitally in how you work. We spent some time testing that solution with Smartsheet in April, and then we rolled it out across our accounts from May to August, with a few trickling into September this month as we finalize. And we rolled it out across a number of our core accounts. So there's about 15 accounts now who are fully on it and onboarded, and feeling the benefits internally. In terms of how we did it, we gave ourselves roughly 2 weeks per account, and we broke those weeks up into chunks. So the first week was really about introducing the idea of what we were doing. So guys, pause a second. This is coming. Be aware of it. We assigned a core team within each account. We assigned 2 leads, usually an account manager and a producer, who would be responsible for rolling it out. We would then provision the account, so that's just a matter of spinning it up in Control Center and setting up the templates, which is a relatively quick process. And the biggest job really in week 1 was to migrate, right? Take all of the existing stuff that you're tracking from a status point of view, from a holiday tracker point of view, et cetera, move it into the system, so you can see it start to work. And then we gave ourselves a second week to test, to refine. Each account has its own flavor and culture and way of working. So there's certain things that they might want to track or might not want to track that we were able to customize when we were rolling it out for them. And then we would launch it. So we'd have a session with the full team and go, ta-da, here's your final, this is your new playground. This is where you're tracking all your work. This is how we know what's going on at any given moment. We also tried to leave it, when managing any change internally. It's really important to make things simple. It's another thing we live and breathe. It's easy to complicate. It's difficult to simplify. And so we've tried to narrow it down to really five rules, 5 golden rules to not break once you're live. Rule number 1 was use the front door, right? If you put briefs through the front door, which is basically a form that sits at the front of your account program, all the right behaviors happen. It gets put onto the resource sheet. The right people get notified. It's on your status automatically. You're going to start getting those automated reminders weekly. So that becomes sacrosanct, and it's formalizing how we decide to commit time and resource as an agency to a brief. Keep it up to date weekly. So again, having an at any given moment view, these things are only as valuable as the information in them. So ensuring that data is fully up to date and that information is correct is really important. We assigned 2 owners per account. So this was you can't have all the knowledge when you're implementing change like this with just one person, right? You need to have people who understand it and own it and get the benefits of what we've done and can play with it. So those two owners become the de facto go-to people for anyone who's got questions on the account in terms of how it works. One status to rule them all. Again, we're now a big agency with lots of different specialisms, and the tendency is, as you're working to develop multiple different statuses, which start to give you many different pictures, this just simplifies it and said, no, we've got one central location for all our information, and then we take that information and can mirror it in different ways if we want to via different status reports. And then the last one is my personal favorite: don't break it. So it's not infallible as a system. There are things that people could do to break it, as we discovered during rollout, because the data is driven by the names of columns and how we've structured the information in certain dropdowns, etc. If you change those, then it suddenly messes with the dashboards and the agency roll-ups. So it was important to ensure that the admins, the two people on each account, were fully trained up and aware of how things would work, because they were the ones who would have the permission to make changes like that. So I've taken you through a lot in a very short period of time. I think I'd summarize by saying VCCP, we are and have always been a world-class creative agency. And traditionally, we've been very good at thinking with our right brain. But with the world the way it is, and every penny counting more than ever for our clients, it's been really important for us to find a tool that would bolster the organized operational side of our collective left brains. And so standardizing our approach, our Smartsheet approach through control centers, really given us that boost and allowed us to become more transparent, make better decisions faster, reduce admin, and go from pitch win to account setup in no time at all. We've done it to become more efficient for ourselves and transparent internally as a business, but also to add value for our clients in these difficult times, to ensure that they're getting the transparency and visibility of the work that we're doing for them at the touch of a button. So now really I'd like to think that we're not only one of the best creative agencies in the world, but with what we've been implementing and the work that we've been doing recently, I'd like to think that we're well on our way to becoming probably one of the best organized agencies operationally. Right, questions?
Thank you so much, Dan. This was a really, really good session, very insightful. You've answered, I think, most of the questions anyone can have, because it was so rich and so interesting. I have a few though. So how do you ensure that user adoption is continuously high within all your different teams?
It's a good question. I mean, I think it's difficult, right? You're always going to have different characters who think in different ways. But I think key to that for us was making sure that the approach we took when rolling it out was at an account level. So it would have been really easy for us to go, right, let's get all account people and all producers in a room and have one training session and say, off you go. And it would have reduced the amount of time and effort to roll it out. But the reality is that wouldn't have done it justice, because each account has its own culture, its own flavor, and its own people who work in different ways and think in different ways. And so we made a conscious decision to roll it out by account and give each account, numerous training sessions. And so we ended up doing dozens of training sessions really across the accounts. But what you get when you do that is you get an engaged user base. The people who are using the tool actually understand it. They understand why it's been set up in the way that it has. They can answer questions. They can make it work for themselves without having to keep coming back to sort of the central Smartsheet team. Mm-hmm. And as a result, you get better engagement and you get better understanding of the tool and you get better adoption. So I think that approach has been fundamental to rolling it out and to ensuring that as an agency, we understand it and we know why we've done it.
Right. And you also mentioned that you're running internal clinics. What does it look like, or how do you make that happen?
So I think monthly, the way we're structuring it is they're going to be monthly clinics for all of the admins. So again, you get those champions, you get those people who are detail oriented and think in a certain way. you run those clinics with those people to ensure that they understand how it works, and then that disseminates it out. So they're hour-long sessions that are going to basically cover off certain different topics, whether it's setting up the dashboard, whether it's refining your reporting, whether it's how to run an efficient status meeting using a Kanban. Each of those sessions is designed to give the admins the tools they need to take it back into their accounts and embed it in, and then disseminate it that way. Great,
I love this idea. It's so good. So thank you very much, Dan, for sharing your insights on how you use Smartsheet to develop this amazing solution for your agency. Before we wrap up, I wanted to share with you some resources that will enable you and your teams to find answers and deliver value to your organization. If you'd like some more information about Control Center, please contact your Smartsheet team. And I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. We appreciate your time, and we hope that you found this session as useful as we did. Thank you.
Great. Thank you guys for having me on.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.